Welcome to the Mid Yorkshire Hospitals NHS Trust OSCE preparation programme. This video will focus on the clinical skill of fluid balance. To complete this station you will have 12 minutes and it is a silent written station. You can use a calculator, and if you have not been provided with one in your exam, please ask your examiner before the time starts. This is an example of the fluid balance chart you'll be asked to complete. As you can see, this has multiple columns on both the input and output sections. In the exam, you'll be asked to complete the oral, parenteral, urine and bowels. You must also complete the hour total and total input or output on both sections. The name, date and hospital number at the top refer to that of the patient. The bottom 4 boxes are for your details, the total balance and if this balance is positive or negative. This second page is an example of the fluid balance summary that you will be given. This breaks down the oral intake, parenteral input and the urine output and bowels. It is important to note here that if there is documentation of a fluid such as water, but there is no volume, you cannot transcribe this onto your fluid balance chart. This would be the same with the output. If the chart stated the patient's bowels had been open, but no unit of measurement is given, please do not put this on your fluid balance chart. This is an example of a completed fluid balance summary. There are clear times for both the input and output. We can also see there are IV fluids that have been administered. In this example, we would need to first work out the hourly rate. We have a start time of 9 AM and a finish time of 1 PM. This means our patient received 500 ml over 4 hours. Therefore, the calculation would be 500 divided by 4, which would be equal to 125 ml per hour. Please note it does not matter how you document mils on your chart. I would recommend for you to complete the parenteral fluids first. You can then add in any oral fluids your scenario is stating. This is what your fluid balance would look like after completing your parenteral and oral intake. You can note here the documentation for the IV fluids starts 1 hour after the fluids were commenced. This is due to IV fluids taking an hour to start infusing into the body. The next step in the completion of the fluid balance is to work out your hour total. This is completed by adding together all your totals for each hour. Once you have your hour total, you can complete your total input. This is done by adding together your hour total to your previous total input. For example, our hour total for 8 AM would be 150 ml. To get our total input for 10 AM, we would add together 150 ml and 125 ml, which is our 10 AM hour total. This would bring us to our new total output of 275 ml for 10 AM. You would then carry on using the same method to work out the rest of your total input. We can now see our total input overall is 1,750 ml. Now we have completed the total input, we need to move on to the output. You would use the same method as when you were documenting and completing your input. In this example, you can see there is only urine to be documented on the fluid balance. You would then complete your hour total and total output using the same method as before, and we can see our total output is 1,450 ml. Once all the input and output have been accurately documented, you are required to complete your total balance. This is done by subtracting your total input from your total output. In this example, it would be 1,750 ml minus 1,450 ml. This would equal 300 ml overall. Our total would be positive as we have more fluid going into our patient than we have coming out. It is important to note that you should only document your total balance in the box. Any calculations should be done on the reverse of the chart. The final thing before completing the station is to write your name and sign in the designated boxes. Remember, if you do not sign, you will not pass the station. Before finishing, have a look over your calculations and be sure you are happy before completing the station.